it was fun playing in a group. Like I've growing up, we pretty much lived at each other's houses, and like I just
Yep.
have one sister, and she play Rock Band occasionally because even my parents would play it. But it was fun to actually get the four people together and do it. It was a it's a special game. It's a special
Yep.
experience.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've spent countless hours, like you said, thousands of hours playing by myself with friends. It was always like everybody owned Rock Band, pretty much.
Right.
Just like everybody either owned Guitar Hero or Rock Band, and the guitars would interchange, which was fantastic. Even though it was what Harmonix and Act. Who
Yep.
did?
Harmonix and Activision.
Yeah, so they were two separate companies, but their stuff worked together. They were looking out for us gamers, right?
Yeah.
So it was great. But
Yep.
Rock Band, I think everybody's heard of it. We love it. You obviously love it enough to put it at your number
It's the third
three.
best game series of all time.
Third best game, best game series of all time. So move on to my number three. We already did a show about my favorite game of all time, pretty much. Or I don't. It's one of it for the survival horror genre. It is the number one for every game ever. It's number three, and it's definitely yeah. It's Resident Evil, and
Yes.
I got to refuel my Resident Evil love back in what was that, January 21st? January 21st, we'll say. I can't remember. But whenever they re-released the Resident Evil from GameCube remastered HD, fantastic
Yes.
game. Like I said, my third favorite game of all time. Just everything about it was just perfect to me. I just could not get over how amazing it was. Whenever I first
Yep.
played it, once again at my friend Joe's house, we just played it nonstop, 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 nonstop. But obviously, there's not just one Resident Evil in the world. There's obviously a lot more. Resident Evil
Yep.
6 is the most recent in the main series. I don't know how they I don't know how they dictate what's in the main series, what's not in the main series anymore. Because Resident Evil 6 was as far from the main series, as you could get, I think. But there are other fantastic Resident Evil games out there. And this week was week number one for Revelations 2, and
Yes.
you guys couldn't hear it, but Tom beat Revelations 2 episode 1 almost immediately before the show actually started. But I
2 minutes.
yes, I
2 minutes
finished it.
before.
I finished it yesterday, and I loved it. I cannot wait till next week. I'm sitting here like a little schoolgirl, just wanting to keep going. I'm so excited, but obviously we have to wait till next week, and then it's just going to be a nice weekly series, and I'm pretty excited. I know every week, every Tuesday, I get to get on. I have a new game ready to go, or a new episode ready to go, so I'm excited. But Tom, how do you feel about the Resident Evil games you have either played or watched? I guess.
Right. So, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, I I never got into Resident Evil. I watched my cousin play it, but as a child, it scared the pants off of me. So, unlike Tim here, my favorite movies are not horror movies. My favorite video games are not horror video games. Uh, I like Toy Story. Tim likes Nightmare on Elm Street. No, whatever. Uh, but you got me into Resident Evil when the remake came out.
The
a couple years
remake. I like that. That's what
pretty
we'll call
much,
it.
right? The remake, the remake. But uh, I loved it. Like it was great. I was really impressed that it still held up really well. The story was not great, but it was a lot of fun. Like the dialogue was pretty stupid, but it was delivered in such a way that it was like a fun B movie kind of thing. But the puzzles were a ton of fun. It required some actual thinking, which games nowadays don't require, including Resident Evil games nowadays. Um,
Yep.
so I really enjoyed that one. I've watched my cousin play 2 and 3 before a couple times. Really hoping they do a remake of 2, a remake of 2. You know, just
Oh
like this
dear
one.
lord. Yes.
But I played a little bit of Resident Evil 4. I didn't get too far. I think something got messed up on my 360 because that's when I played it. I've beaten 5, which was fun, but it was an action game. It wasn't really horror. Thankfully, I never played 6. The reviews kept me away from that. Like the
You're a lucky
remake.
one.
Yeah, but I got about an hour into Revelations 1, and it didn't really catch me, but Revelations 2, like I said, like you said, I beat it just minutes before the show today, but I really enjoyed it. I really liked the episodic nature of it, where it's a nice short little burst, about 2 hour burst of gameplay, and we get it for 3 more weeks. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, yeah. So the video that's finishing up right now is from my first Resident Evil game ever, which was Resident Evil 2, which is still, besides the remake, is my favorite Resident Evil game. No matter how bad it looks, how bad this cutscene obviously just looks god
Leon
awful.
looks awesome.
Yes, how god awful these cutscenes look and stuff like that. But it is just like Tom said, they need to remake Resident Evil 2. There are fan remakes out there. There's pretty much everything short of an actual game being remade. But I feel like they were
Right.
probably testing the waters with the re-release of the remake HD collection
Yeah.
remake version 2.7 or whatever you want to call it. I guess it's like
Right.
the third time it's been released. But yes, Resident Evil, fantastic. I cannot wait for next week to get episode 2 of Revelations 2, and then 3 or 4 weeks down the road. This is the only thing I don't like about Revelations 2. The raid mode is fantastic. I started it last night, but it's not co-op from the get-go. You have to wait until every episode is out. But I guess it gives me time to level up Mora and make her look like the sexy ninja that she's meant to be. Yeah.
Oh God, that confused me. I thought Moira was a little girl there for a sec.
No, that's Natel. Oh god, that's just
Whoa, Tim.
creeper
Hey.
meter just went up to here, right? All right, so that is my number 3. So we're just gonna shift it right back over to the man to my internet left, right over there,
There
Tom.
we go.
What you got for number 2?
Number 2 is Mass Effect. I love Mass Effect. This is one of the games that really got me into the 360. I saw this at a different cousin's house. I watched him play it, and at the time I didn't have a 360. And this game, other than Halo 3, really sold me on getting a 360. The story was really cool. I love sci-fi. I really like that you could customize your character. That all the decisions you made, you could make good choices, bad choices, neutral choices, things like that. It kind of reminded me of Star Wars a lot. Star Wars and Star Trek kind of combined together. But I love the first game. It's probably my favorite just because it's the one that got me into the series, and I played through it probably 4 or 5 times on all different difficulty settings. Female shepherd, male shepherd, good, bad, all the different characters.
All the love triangles.
Just the story was incredible in that game. The gameplay got much better throughout the series as it went on to 2 and 3, but I loved the story in the first one. The second one was incredible as well. It was a huge leap up gameplay wise, and the characters in that game are some of my favorite characters ever. If you've played it, Mordin Solus is awesome. Garrus from all 3 games is incredible. Rex is great. The way he says Shepard every single time you talk to him is great. You can just stand there talking to him, and he'll just keep saying Shepard, Shepard, Shepard. It's funny because I hate the human characters in those games. Like, except for Shepard, I think the human characters are really annoying, at least of the squad members you have. But all the different alien characters are really cool, diverse. They all have different powers. It was really fun gameplay because it's a shooter, but it has kind of magic, magey spells that you can do, like lifting people up in the air so you can shoot them point blank and they can't attack back. You could use your squad mates' abilities. There was a lot of different variations to the gameplay, and probably the coolest thing from it, and things that games need to do from now on into the future, is if you have an RPG and it is a series and you have the exact same character, you need to be able to carry your character, your abilities, your decisions over from game to game. Like, that was mind-blowing in Mass Effect 2, where if you carried over your character from the first game, you were able to unlock certain powers from the beginning. You had more Renegade or Paragon points, your good and bad points. Your decisions carried over, so it actually felt like you were watching almost like a movie trilogy. Um, but those
Yeah,
games altogether are just crazy good.
I played the first one like a couple years after it came out. I think 2 was already out and like going full steam ahead or whatever on the 360. They just never caught my eye. It wasn't anything against them. It just I think they just came out at the wrong time for me. But I did buy 3, and it was really cool because it said like no Mass Effect 1 or 2 data found. Uh, would you like to continue? You hit yes, and it's like then it asks you like a series of questions like
Yeah,
what would you do about this? What would you do about that? You know, left, right, up, down, pink, purple, all that great stuff. And that
yeah,
that dictated like how your past was up to that point. So it didn't hold you back for not playing the game from before. Like, yeah, I might not get a couple of different conversations or something like that. I may not have
right.
experienced every little thing that happened, but it didn't take away from me playing 3. I didn't finish 3 because I heard about the ending, the controversial ending.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that was not the reason I didn't play it. It was just, it was sometimes whenever RPGs just get so engulfed like that, it starts to turn because I I do enjoy it, but I have to be sucked into the entire game and like Knights of the Old Republic. But
yeah,
it just didn't do it for me. Like I did enjoy the gunplay; it was fantastic. The story was great. I just slowly lost more and more interest as time went on, and I think I tried the multiplayer and the people were just stupid.
yeah. I never even touched
Yeah,
it. I didn't.
and
That was not the reason I got
yeah,
into that game.
yeah. But so how did you feel about the controversial ending to the series? I guess.
Yeah, I don't think it was nearly as bad as people made it out to be. I don't think it was great, but then again, it would have been a miracle um, for them to have ended a trilogy as beloved as Mass Effect and be able to make everybody happy. Um, and like I told you earlier before the cast, like Mass Effect is really a game about the journey, not the destination. Um, all the characters that you meet that I was talking about earlier, like Mass Effect 3, you have little stories where, oh, you go see Thane, who was one of the coolest characters from the second game, and you end his story in a really satisfying way. You go see Morden Solis, who's one of the best characters of all time. And if you don't cry at the end of that story, you're not a human. You are a husk. You're a husk, just like in the game. Uh, but it's all the different side stories that come together, the end that make that game as special as it is. In 2, where you have all the loyalty missions where you have to do specific things and you know help these certain characters in all these ways. That's what's important about it. It's not how does the series end as a whole. Um, there were some really stupid parts of it, like the little stupid kid who you see throughout Mass Effect 3 at random points, who ends up being way too important to the story for what it actually is. Um, it's kind of, I mean, it was fitting that there were just 3 decisions at the end of the game, but they were all kind of stupid. But again, it's not really about the ending of the series, it's about the characters. So I'm looking forward to the next Mass Effect. I will play every Mass Effect game from here on out. Um,
So you're
the
sold like me with
ending of
Resident
3
Evil.
didn't scare me. Yeah, I'll play whatever.
Yep.
You put it out, I'll play it.
All right, so Mass Effect, like I said, I enjoyed it. Did not get nearly as engulfed as the guy to my internet left over here, but yes, It's a great series. Yeah, just wasn't my cup of tea, but I did enjoy it when I played it. That sounds really stupid, doesn't it? Not my cup of tea, but I did enjoy it. Two
I mean,
sugars, it only gave me one, right?
hey, that's like me and Resident Evil. Like
Yeah,
I
exactly.
really enjoyed 1, but and I'll play some of these games coming out, but like I'm not. I didn't buy 6 because I heard it was really bad.
So every time you say that,
But
I die a little bit on the inside. Every time you say
yeah,
Resident Evil
it really
6.
did. Resident Evil 6. It exists.
All right, so Tom, top 5. He got Metal Gear Solid. We got Pokemon. We got Rock Band, and we got Mass Effect.
Mass Effect.
Then I got Metal Gear Solid. What was my number 4? Last of Us, and Resident Evil. And my number 2 is the reason I initially bought a 360 in the first place.
Viva
Gears of
Pinata.
War. Yeah, Viva Pinata. Gears of War. Oh my God, do I love this series so much. This is my Mass Effect, I guess. The so the whole entire story of Gears of War is just so perfect to me. Like it's just, in a different world, so humans don't have to be humans, blah blah blah.